Welcome. In this video, I'll be sharing with you what are the steps in the coaching process. So first I'm going to get into a little bit of background about the coaching process, and then I'll be sharing with you some skills and strategies that you'll want to bring to your coaching sessions, and then I'll dive into a coaching structure for your actual sessions themselves. The first thing to understand about coaching is that there are a lot of different types of coaching, and not all coaching is the same. So if you're doing business coaching, for example, then your coaching might be more focused around things like KPIs or key performance indicators. You might be looking at specific metrics like revenues or clients or conversions, and things may be generally a little more quantitative. Now, if you're doing life coaching, on the other hand, then you might be looking more at qualitative things, quality of life, like how's your relationship with your husband or your children or your friends, right? So different types of coaching necessitate fairly different processes and systems. Although what I'm going to share with you today can kind of be adjusted to most types of coaching, or at least most types of coaching that I do. And now, before I dive into the actual steps in the coaching process, there are a few skills and strategies I want to share. The first is the strategy of deep listening. Now, in a coaching relationship, it's so important that you, as a coach, cultivate the skill of listening not only to what your client is saying overtly, explicitly, but also what they're not saying. Paying attention to things like their subtle changes in energy and changes in their facial expressions, noticing if their energy drops when they're talking about a certain thing. This is really helpful because a lot of times the way that we coaches can help people the most is by seeing the things that they're not seeing, calling their attention to blind spots that they don't even know are there. It falls to you to develop your deep listening skills. So that looks like really paying close attention, and you might want to consider, this is what I do, using Zoom as a platform rather than holding coaching calls over the phone, because this way you can see people and you can get a better read on what they're doing. The second skill that I invite you to cultivate is to be able to step into your client's shoes and put yourself into their world. Sometimes it can be very easy to kind of create distance between us and clients where we're on the outside looking in, and that's important to have that kind of perspective. And it's also really helpful to be able to really step into their world and understand where they're coming from so that you can bring compassion to the mix. One of my favorite mantras in coaching is truth supported by love. And that love piece can be hard if you are too separate from your client, and maybe even if you're judging or creating more separation from your client, meaning instead of stepping into their shoes. So learning to step into your client's shoes, to get into their world, is a really helpful way to help them see things in a new way and to bring perspective to them. Another thing I want to invite you to is to hold high standards with clients. I've seen this happen a lot, and quite honestly, I used to do this myself. And I have to watch it, of dropping my standards, of allowing a client to bring me into their world in a way that's not empowering. So for example, let's say I show up on a coaching call with a client and they're not prepared. My instinct sometimes, because I want my clients to like me, and you might want your clients to like you, is to say, oh, that's okay, no worries. We'll do it next time, or let's just reschedule this call, or oh, we'll just talk through something else. But when we do that, we drop the standard. And what I want to invite you to is to be a place where you raise the standards for clients. Now, that doesn't mean not being understanding and not being compassionate. Absolutely, bring truth supported by love, right? That compassion, that empathy. And if you find yourself consistently dropping standards, your clients are not going to get the kind of results that they paid you for. And then the last skill is to remember that you are not their hero. This is a really common coaching dynamic when we get into coaching sessions and programs where you might do this, or your client might do this, or both of you, two to tango, do this together, which is turning your client into the victim and you into the hero. That could be a really dangerous dynamic to take on with clients. It can really thwart what you're up to in your coaching sessions if your client comes to the calls expecting you to fix things or save them or do things for them. And it's not a great thing to also you to come into a call expecting your client to be in victim mode. So really raising those standards and showing up as the guide, but not the hero. So now before I get into the structure of a coaching session, I want to invite you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, click the little alert button, the little bell, so that you get a notification when I drop a new video, and maybe even post a comment below. Let me know how this video is landing for you and what you're getting from it. Now let's talk about what makes a great coaching session, how to structure a coaching session. Well, the first thing that I highly recommend is to set an intention for every single call. It can look a lot of different ways. And like I said earlier, if you're doing business coaching, it might look different than life coaching. But essentially an intention is, this is what we want to get out of this call. This is what we're looking to create on this call. Here's the outcome that would make this call a home run. It could be setting a goal, it could be developing a strategy, it could be solving a problem. But whatever it is we set up front, here's what a home run looks like. What I've found over the years is that setting the intention helps you create focus in the call. So I keep running notes with all of my clients from all of our sessions. And at the beginning of every session, I set intention for this call. This is what we want to cover. And if we cover more, great. But at the very least, this is what we want to get to. The second part of a great coaching session is to assess. And assess, again, can look like different things depending on what kind of coaching you're doing. But essentially what you're assessing is the gap. The gap between where they are and where they want to go, the vision, right? So the gap in that on that particular call or in general, there's always some sort of gap, or else they probably wouldn't be working with you. So you want to assess the gap to achieve this intention. What is it that is in the way? What is it that you need? What is it that you want? And then this is also what I consider part of the diagnostic phase of the call, where you're gathering information and formulating some insights, some ahas, observing what's going on. This is where you're also observing your clients, observing their energy, observing their facial expressions, so you can get a sense of what's really going on below the surface. The next phase of the call is when you take that assessment and you start to share with them what you see. This is what I call reflection. This is also where you share the insights that you're seeing and you help the client maybe formulate a new perspective, gain some new insight for themselves, have some sort of aha moment or a breakthrough. The reflection is where that truth supported by love really comes in, because a lot of times it can be that you see something that they don't want to see. And if you come at them in a way that feels like an attack, they might resist. So this reflection is really supported by a whole lot of heart. The fourth step in a coaching session is to take all that you've learned from here and turn it into some steps or an action plan. All right, now that you have this new insight, new awareness, new idea, new strategy, whatever it is, how are you going to put it into action? How are you going to implement it? And this is where you might want to come up with some steps or some bullet points or things that they can do, so that on the next call you can follow up and evaluate how it went and evaluate what the implementation was and how it all came together. One of the big problems that I see is that we do these steps and then maybe skip the last one and then just jump on to the next call and forget to check back. All right, well, how did that go from the last time? And that way we can start to really see progress. I get the question all the time, how long should a coaching session be? So I'll take the opportunity to answer that question here. Most of my coaching sessions are about 30 minutes long. But of course, I do different lengths of calls depending on what people need. So on a standard coaching call where I'm just checking in and walking people through this standard process, 30 minutes is plenty. But sometimes we have to dig in really deep to do something much bigger, longer strategy. And so my calls range from 15 minutes at the lightest, and that's when somebody just wants a quick, urgent check-in, we gotta do this quick thing, versus all the way up to about 1.5 hours. And that's usually the range that I do for most of my coaching calls. If you are a coach and you're looking to build and grow your business in a way that's joyful, aligned, energy rich, and prosperous, let's connect. You can find me at superstaractivator.com/go. Visit that website and go ahead and sign up for a discovery call with me, and we'll explore if and how one of my programs might be able to support you.